Hello everybody, I am putting out a part of a hangout I had earlier with Charlie from Freak Sense TV. He's a very wise person, has a lot to say, but you won't hear me. You're hearing me now, but in the hangout because, well, now that YouTube have changed their hangout things, I don't particularly like either version because this other channel is all to do with communicating with people, and as the only way you can do it on YouTube is to do it one yourself and go live, have a chat room. Mine was about talking to people, and I'm not sure if I like that we're shoved off somewhere else, and it actually says, well, a lot of the functions aren't there like with Hangout, so we'll add them later on, and it'll all to be to do with money, so we do it a different way. So recording it, but when I record, it's either records the screen perfectly or me perfectly, but not both together. But as you know who I am on these videos I make, we were talking to Charlie, so the most important thing is to hear Charlie, so you won't hear me because I recorded Charlie. Anyway, hopefully you enjoy. It kind of matches into everything that's been happening with the videos I've been putting out, and hopefully it's just another insight to understand that what they're doing. Anyway, enjoy. Hopefully you enjoy this hangout. Thank you very much.
Hi, Karen. How are you doing today? Hi, Patricia.
Hi, Karen. Hi, Charlie.
It teaches us that this is elegant design and that there is a creator. And the moment that you come to understand that all of this is a miraculous, magical creation that connects us both inwards, inside of us, and outwards, so physically and metaphysically, physically or spiritually, then everything takes on a whole new meaning and level of understanding. Is this understanding that it is everything is holistically designed, and that in the one truth, of the creator, which is creation, that everyone and everything, not just human beings, but all sentient beings, are all connected powerfully together. So in essence, we're all one. We are all part of the one, which is, that's right. That's exactly right. And that's how based on in what I teach and what I share on Freak Sense TV and through my books, to prove, it's very easy to prove that what I share is the truth and the holistic truth. All you have to do is just simply observe how organized society, and remember that includes all aspects of society that are organized together. So it's not just government. That means corporations, business, the business world, they're all hand in hand, and religion as well. They're all organized. They're all on the same team. They're all working together for the one goal. And their one goal is that the few will continue to rule over the many. And that's it. They don't really have any other agenda. They use other smaller agendas to constantly confuse us and to turn us on one another so that we are focusing on things that do not matter in a way. Well, we certainly are. I mean, they are the creators of communism. They're the creators of all of these isms. There's only one thing, and that is what we could say is oneism, monoism, godism, and that's just what we see and observe around us, inside and outside, and that is God's creation. So what we're here for, why all of this matters and what we're here for, is to switch on to be living aware in the single moment that exists, and then just observe is and why it is so important. And really, it should be the guiding principle to all truthers, because it leads to the holistic or full understanding of all things. It encompasses all things. It is the main thing. And again, it teaches us that this is elegant design and that there is a creator. And the moment that you come to understand that all of this is a miraculous, magical creation that connects us both inwards, inside of us, and outwards, so physically and metaphysically, physically or spiritually, then everything takes on a whole new meaning and level of understanding. So in essence, we're all one. We are all part of the one, which is, that's right. That's exactly right. And that's how based on in what I teach and what I share on Freak Sense TV and through my books, to prove, it's very easy to prove that what I share is the truth and the holistic truth. All you have to do is just simply observe how organized society, and remember that includes all aspects of society that are organized together. So it's not just government. That means corporations, business, the business world, they're all hand in hand, and religion as well. They're all organized. They're all on the same team. They're all working together for the one goal. And their one goal is that the few will continue to rule over the many. And that's it. They don't really have any other agenda. They use other smaller agendas to constantly confuse us and to turn us on one another so that we are focusing on things that do not matter in a way. Well, we certainly are. I mean, they are the creators of communism. They're the creators of all of these isms. There's only one thing, and that is what we could say is oneism, monoism, godism, and that's just what we see and observe around us, inside and outside, and that is God's creation. So what we're here for, why all of this matters and what we're here for is to switch on, to be living aware in the single moment that exists, and then just observe. And we observe that we're surrounded by this incredible perfect creation, which is Mother Earth. She truly is. She's alive, she's measurable, she's perfect. All of her systems, all of the components of Mother Earth are all attempting to achieve. That's right. And that's an excellent point to bring up, Karen. And it's a very, very important point, because creation is far beyond all of us. And therefore, this ridiculous notion that we can destroy creation by splitting an atom, harnessing enormous amounts of power, and turning them into some kind of weapon or bomb, and then detonating a bomb that could undo the creator's creation, is pure nonsense. It's just another one of these massive lies that they use that to fear. That's right, to make us fear and to control us. It's just another lie. So at the heart of what you just said, and at the heart of what you're saying, is that if all of this is perfect, elegant design by a creator, and that all creation is in the hands of the creator and out of our hands, then there's two things that are very commonsensically or freakisensically easily understood. And they are, one, that since we have no role in the creation of what is, then all we need to be focusing on and concerning ourselves with is the interaction with creation and the enjoyment of creation. And secondly, the second obvious thing is simply that if we have no involvement in the creation of this perfect earth, then we can have no role in its destruction. So this notion of splitting an atom, which you can't see, and all of this notion of they lie about everything. And again, on Freak Sense TV, the very first series that I generated and put out was a 7-part series with some excellent guests on each part of the 7 series. And the assertion is, the title of the series was "Everything You Know Is a Lie. Would you like to hear some truth?" And it literally is. Every single thing that we have been told via organized society, so through schools, on television, in movies, newspapers, radio, the whole bit is designed to do what you said at the very beginning, which is to take us away from the Heavenly Father, to take us away from the physical mother. So there's the sacred, spiritual, metaphysical, heavenly father consciousness, father energy, masculine, and then there is the sacred feminine energy of the earth. So you have this perfect duality. Oh, the list does go on and on and on because it's designed to break down the big I. And the big I is individuality or individualism. Because if you just, again, just commonsensically, freaksensically, just observe this, how does the eternal, perfect, unique, one-off, never will be another one of you or I, perfect individual creations, how does that fit in to this construct that they've created of organized society and the greater good, right? So we all give up our freedoms for the greater good because we can't take care of ourselves, we can't protect ourselves, so we need security, we need to live together. But it's not really living together, is it? It's living under the mechanism and the rules of Hitler. That's right. They Live. That's right. The movie They Live. And the reason they do that, because again, through the construct, we'll get back into this in just a sec, the fullness of it, because it's really important for people to understand. But this concept of ownership and this us participating in a world of fake money, and a certain group of people create into existence fake money, and then they buy off everyone and everything. They are recruiting, hiring with this fake money the brightest minds that are looking into the human mind. And one of the things that they've learned is that with our subconscious is that it's basically like a recorder, and that it's on all the time, and it observes via this continuous recording all things that it's hearing. So even if you're not really aware of what's going on, because they're transmitting a message either visually, optically, or just via sounds, even if you're not completely aware of what it's doing, your subconscious is recording it, and then that message is being placed inside of you. And again, that is recorded and stored in the left hemisphere of your brain. And if you operate only in the left, or what the Bible calls the carnal hemisphere of your brain, then you're trapped, and you are an absolute victim, because the left hemisphere of your brain is filled up with the lies that they constantly pump into us from the moment we're born. Exactly right. And the only way, and this is going to lead us back into the title of the show today, or the focus for the show today, which is, elegant design and the creator, is that the only way for you to know, the only way for you to discover truth is to go within. And this is what the Bible says, the Bhagavad Gita says. That's exactly right. And again, this is why, see, the thing that people need to understand when you're sharing this with friends and family who aren't buying into the concept that everything is a lie and everything is a conspiracy, and those are both absolutely true, is that at the heart of who they are and what they are doing is the fact that they're a tiny group, and a tiny group trying to control the many are very fearful and afraid. They're afraid because if we ever wake up, it's over for them in a heartbeat, because our sheer numbers. That's right. In fact, this is, again, going back to what we were talking just a little earlier with the big I, individuality. There's no room for an individual within society. And this is why you have advertising. See, and I wanted to inject this because it's such a key point. For everyone, I want you to listen to this and absorb it, because because this is absolute truth. And the moment you take the time to absorb this and understand it, you can't argue with it, because it absolutely is provable and factual. And that's this: all money now in the world, not just the Western world, but the Eastern world as well, every single country now has their money provided to them. All governments have handed over the creation and the monitoring of their money and economies into the hands of these federal banks. And these federal banks are all private, and they're all the same. They're all the exact same private group. Private, they call themselves bankers. They're not bankers. There's no such thing as banking. There's no such thing as economy. That's right. They're all fake. It's all, and I've done podcasts on that, and you've done great shows with Martin Kinney and others telling you that the entire English language has been hijacked into what's called legalese, and this ridiculous, notion. And again, it's all designed to take away the individual and to make you a cog in the wheel of the greater good, organized society. So the individual cannot exist. So at the heart of all of this is a group of people who create all money into existence in every single country. So I want you to understand this. That means that this hidden group of people that nobody really ultimately knows who it is responsible for the printing or the creation by zeros and ones on a computer of all currencies in all countries in the world without oversight. And this is crucial for everyone to understand: without oversight. So that means that our money, the money that everyone spends their entire lives chasing down because things cost money and you have to try and live, is completely fake. So why? Why do things cost money? Therefore, why do we spend our lives in jobs trying to earn money? And the source of all of this is the fact that they turned God's creation, which is what you noticed brilliantly at the beginning of this podcast. And you said, it's creation, and nobody knows how it was done or when it was done, and nobody owns it. It's just elegant creation. So it all started by making land cost money, because everybody in this game of Monopoly has to find a place to get a chair, put it down, and sit down somewhere. So you have to have what's called a home. And in this sick, twisted, bizarre, upside down reality we find ourselves in, land costs money. Now, again, think about the insanity of this, folks, that even in their system of law, ownership of something is in the hands of whoever possesses it. Possession is 90% of the law. Okay, so if land can be owned, which is ridiculous, if land can be owned and has value, then how is it that a tiny group of white guys, white gentlemen who are hidden in the shadows, how is it that they own all the land when possession is 9/10 of the law? In other words, whoever came before us under this system of rule are the owners of the land because they were here first. So how did all of these indigenous peoples come to no longer own their land, and that the ownership of all of this land, which, and again, it cannot be owned, it's ridiculous, is in the hands of a hidden few? Well, again, all of these terms like economy, economics, and depression, recession, or bull markets, and all of these things, they're all, that's right, yeah, they're all invented. None of this stuff is real. It's just a group of people that sat down and said that, well, we have to create. Right. Think about this. Everyone, again, we'll get back to the full explanation in just a sec. But again, with war, think about this. Wars are not being legitimately fought between two groups or two interests or two different nations for altruistic reasons or whatever. They're all on the same side. Remember, at the heart of all of this is a tiny group that wants to maintain their power over us, and that the only agenda they have is therefore to maintain their control over us, so that everything they do is designed to distract us and get us to fight amongst ourselves. That's the only purpose. And so that's right. And so at the heart of all of this, folks, and I want to just tie this together because it's so important, is that so this group that has control and power, they've stolen the land away from those who came first. Possession 9/10 of the law, they stole it away from everyone who came first, and under their understanding and their system of law would therefore have owned all of this land and be millionaires, billionaires, trillionaires, because they owned all the land. So they stole it, and then what they did is they created pieces of paper with official stamps on it, backed by a system of law run by a court system of people who uphold the law. It's their law, it's their words, it's their paper. That's right. And all of their judges are not impartial and fair, and they're not blind. They're blind to the truth, and because they work for whoever controlled all of this. So everything is fake. So now I'm going to share something with everyone, and when I do this, it often really blows people away, and it takes them a little bit of time to fully wrap their minds around this, but it's very important for you to understand. With this notion and this understanding that land can't be owned, and that the ownership of the land now rests in the hands of a few people, and they stole it away from all those who had under their system of rules, had the right to own it, possession being 9/10 of the law. So we see that this entire system of ownership, and therefore a value on land, forces people to work, because if land has a value and costs, then you have to earn something to be able to afford land. So what is important to understand is that business, economics, jobs are all invented. There is not a single need for any corporation. Why? They already own everything. All of the money that exists in the world is being printed by this hidden group in every single country. And remember, there's no oversight. There is no single body within any single government of any single country that has the right to question or understand how much is being printed, who's it being given to, what are the names of the people who are behind this? Nothing. The elected leaders of each populace in each different nation have no rights to know how any of this is put into place, and where the money's going, and who gets it, and all of this. And yet these are the people that make up the rules in terms of how you get access to the money. They're the ones that create usury and charge interest on these loans, which is impossible. You cannot have interest, because all that exists is the principal. The moment you charge an interest for the principal, it's just like your analogy with the island: 10 people, 10 shares, and then an immigrant shows up and would be the 11th. The moment you accept their money into the system, there's now more money. There's now more people and more money than what the original principal can handle, because there's 10 shares, 1,000 or 10,000 each, for a total of 10,000 or 100,000. That's all that exists. You can't charge interest on top of principal, because you're bankrupting the system in the moment, because the principal does not now have enough to pay back the totality of what's been invested into it. So exactly. And so, but with the system of rules, it means that this is a game of Monopoly, literally, because everyone will eventually go bankrupt. And that's the whole design of this system, this fake system, is to ensure that everyone will eventually go bankrupt, because it's the small fish that run out of money first, and with nowhere else to turn, have to declare. And so the few own more and more and more, and the many own less and less and less, and become weaker and weaker and weaker. And so this is what, right? That's right. And yeah, and you can't create any more money into existence, because all that was there in the first place, whatever you said was there and whatever value you placed to it, that's what we would call the principle, and that's what is. So you can't charge interest against it, nor can you add anything else to it, take from it or add to it, because then you're devaluing all that there is. So, and that's the basic precept. So what we see is that the entire system is false, and that the only reason that money truly exists in the first place, when they own everything and they print all of it into existence without oversight, it means the only reason that there's an economy and that there are jobs is to give us something to do. And this is what's so important, and this is what ties into flat earth. Because if we had time on our hands, if we truly understood why we're here, which is to just be students of nature, both outer nature, Mother Earth, and inner nature, our Heavenly Father God. That's right. Well, we would be living, and we'd be living within two realms: daytime out there interacting with Mother Earth, providing all the things that we need, food and shelter and clothing. And if we don't know how to do something, we learn from somebody else, or we exchange with somebody else. And this is how you create friends and what's called extended family or little community. And you don't need any laws, you just depend on one another. And when you depend on one another, there's no way that anyone's going to break a law, because, yeah, that's absolutely right. That is absolutely true. And just a quick interjection here about what you said about plastic food and plastic supermarkets. Supermarkets are not selling real food, even right down to the fruits and vegetables, because fruits and vegetables are meant to be picked off the vine. They're meant to be picked when they are ripe, because like when a baby is born, and the umbilical cord, the baby with the umbilical cord comes out of the mother, and eventually along with the placenta, it's this exchange of knowledge, this exchange of strength, wisdom, of purity, that comes through the vine, the umbilical cord or vine, into the fruit or the baby from the roots or essence, the placenta. And this is why we grow up big, strong, we don't get sick, and we don't need. Exactly right. And in fact, so much of what's sold in the northern hemisphere is produced in the southern hemisphere, and then they ship it enormous distances, and the only reason is as an excuse to pick everything when it's still green. When you pick everything off the vine when it is not mature, you're taking all of the maturity, or what's known as wisdom, out of the fruit and the vegetable. And this is where, like I said, with supermarkets, even the fruits and vegetables are just empty foods, because their essence, all of their gifts from God, all of the wisdom and all of the strength that they give us to fight off any infection, is not present. And it's not present because they pick it early. And this sacred process, which is the same as birthing, giving birth to a human baby, is the same process. And again, think about it. In hospitals, what's the first thing that doctors do when the baby comes out of the womb? This sacred, beautiful, peaceful place of deep meditation and connection to God.
And I'm just stopping it there. This part of the hangout is 20 odd minutes long, and that's enough for people to listen to. And Charlie talked about lots of different things. I might put another part of this out. But anyway, and he's coming back to do part 2. You've only got a bit of part 1. But anyway, I hope this has given you another insight. Thank you for listening. And yes, See you soon.